Today we're going to discuss Luka Garza. We're going to use Luka Garza as essentially an example of what I think a bigger area that impacts the difference between college and NBA basketball. So how did Luka Garza go from being a 2021 AP Player of the Year, consensus two-time All-American, Wooden Award, Naismith Award, 2 times Big Ten Player of the Year, 2 times All-Big Ten, in 2021 All-Big Ten Tournament Player? How did Luka go from that to essentially a role player at best in the NBA? We're going to discuss how that occurred.
Crabs in a bucket, I'm sending butt shots to the back of the barrel. My passion's apparently packing the crack to the pass in the back of the stairwell. Get a hazmat for the tendencies. This not Jay and Nas rap, nah. This not Don rap, nah. This ready for combat, soldier and boss that be leading the charge.
Okay, so the first thing to establish is that Luka is a tremendous college basketball player. He uses good footwork, the use of his size, his body to get on the inside, and he also shoots from the outside fairly well. This leads him to put up stats that include a 2-point percentage of 59% and a 3-point percentage of 36% on average in just 4 years at Iowa. Those are stats that are like some of the best you can do. Okay, so then we needed to go into his NBA games and look at what actually occurs. So first off, let's start with the positives. Okay, so Luka can shoot pretty well from outside the arcs, which is an awesome sight. Okay, so he can shoot these threes in transition or when he gets bigs to sag off them. The big thing I want to look at is on offense right here. If this was Iowa, they would 100% pass to Luka in the post. This is against a defender that's deemed a guard, and so this should be a mismatch. This should be a crazy advantage for Luka on the inside, and the Pistons don't look to the inside. Why don't they look to the inside? And so the bigger issue is that Luka, his size advantage that he has in college, doesn't exist in the NBA. And so then we transition to what I think the bigger issue is, and that's on defense. Okay, so the first thing is almost every single time that Luka's in the game, the Knicks targeted him on defense. They went after him trying to take advantage of his lack of quick feet. Okay, so they targeted him in the pick and roll. That leads to an open shot. And then you can't let him get switched onto a guard because the guard's just going to blow right by him. Okay? So because he's going to struggle on defense no matter what, that's going to make it really hard to play against him. Okay? Not only is he going to struggle on defense when you get paired to the guards, he also doesn't have explosive leaping ability and reactive in order to make him a good rim protection threat. So while the goal of this isn't necessarily to show that, hey, Luka can't play in the NBA, that's definitely not the goal. Luka is a tremendous player in his own right. The bigger issue is that the NBA represents a different game than college. Because college has so many more players, that means that they get spread out so much more, and there's a bigger gap between good bigs and mediocre bigs. In the NBA, everyone is big and athletic. Everyone. Right? Even the Nikola Jokic, who isn't deemed as big as athletic, has tremendous awareness and a great first step. The difference between Luka and, let's say, Joel Embiid is kind of a similar semi-comparison, is in college, Joel Embiid shot 64%. Right? Not only that, but Joel Embiid is significantly more athletic than Luka Garza. Luka Garza relied on his strength and essentially using his body in the crafty ways to get advantages, and Joel Embiid relies on his athleticism. Okay, that athleticism translates. However, Luka is definitely not the only one that this represents. We can look at the most recent draft, and we can see Oscar Tshiebwe, Drew Timme, and Adoma Snoga, all from big colleges that had tremendous college careers, didn't get drafted because the NBA recognizes that it's a game where you cannot rely on simply being big or being an effective post player and make it translate to the NBA, because the NBA is so guard heavy, so athletic, and so dominant in other different directions. So I appreciate Luka Garza. I respect what he brings to the table. And I'd be curious to see if the NBA actually does at some point revert back to a more post-heavy. I don't personally think it will, but it might. It definitely could. And so I hope this gives us a little bit further insight as why bigs have to be so special in order to actually be dominant in the NBA. Have a great rest of your day.